Right, it's time now for us to focus our attention to one Congo that is not often known by people as a different country completely. Congo-Brazzaville, often referred to just to make the differentiation. And so today on the Discourse here on Rise and Shine, we turn our attention to Central Africa and specifically the Republic of Congo, which will mark its 66th Independence Day on Saturday. Congo gained its independence from France in 1960. President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who first came to power in 1979, has dominated the country's politics for more than 4 decades, with the exception of a 5-year period. He's now begun another 5-year term, with questions already emerging about the country's future beyond 2031. Well, to discuss Congo-Brazzaville's independence journey, its political evolution, and the challenges facing the country, we're now joined by Nirvaly Mooloo, who is a research officer for the Central Africa and Lake Chad Basin at the Institute for Security Studies. Nirvaly, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Peter.
So, as Congo-Brazzaville prepares to mark 66 years of independence tomorrow, how would you describe the country's journey since 1960? And, when I just read there about how much time Sassou Nguesso spent as head of state, it seems like a familiar story that we've seen in other parts of the continent.
Yes, that's right, Peter. So Congo-Brazzaville's 66-year journey is not just a story of political survival. It is also a story of working towards democratic consolidation, right? So the first 30 years were defined by single-party rule, coups, and elite competition, where power depended a lot more on armed forces and not institutions. And this was seen a bit more in the 1990s as well. The opening to multi-party politics in 1992 collapsed into civil war in 1993, and then the 1997 war, which brought Denis Sassou Nguesso back to power with Angolan support as well. And so since 1997, Congo-Brazzaville has had 28 years of relative stability. However, the stability has also taken place under a very centralized political system. And we've seen this also through the 2015 constitutional referendum, which was branded as the New Republic. And this effectively removed term and age limits, essentially resetting the clock, which allowed the president to continue. So while today Congo is stable on the surface, the 2026 election did show some of the cracks as well, from low trust, youth disengagement, and a political system built around one man and one party. So while Congo may have avoided collapse, it has not yet built the institutions that can outlive individual leaders or ruling parties, for example. And so the next 10 years will essentially determine if the independence means institutions or just continuity.
As journalists, we often get tempted just to tell the negative side of things. Have there been achievements? Have there been notable gains that the Congo-Brazzaville nation has been able to experience since 1960?
Yes, definitely. So, as you know, Congo is quite rich in oil, and so a lot of its investments are centered around oil, and this has allowed for the country to establish itself quite well economically, not just locally but also regionally and internationally. And we're also seeing this now with the creation of the visa-free process that has been in place, that will be in place from January 2027. So it has made some notable gains in economically. However, politically, I can say that it is a bit left behind compared to other countries in the region.
What has this long reign of Sassou Nguesso meant for life in Congo-Brazzaville for the ordinary citizens?
So what it has meant is that um, well, the main question that comes out now is related to the succession politics for Congo Brazzaville, right? As the first relates firstly to its timing. The president is currently 82 and his current terms run to 2031. So in a country with a history of militias and contested transition, that creates a leadership vacuum, which potentially would be dangerous for citizens in the next upcoming elections. However, second, it means that there has been no viable opposition for viable arena for opposition to participate in elections or free and fair elections. And so we have witnessed a lot of repression in the country as well. And we have seen opposition members being imprisoned as well. And that sets also a dangerous precedent for ordinary citizens like us here in South Africa as well. And then the third part is that continued rule has resulted in economic power um, and resources being concentrated amongst the ruling elite as well. And so we have seen increasing rates of poverty and unemployment within the country, and with limited wealth benefiting a few people as well. And so this has kept the security apparatus fragmented as well. And there has been no diversification. There has been little investments in agriculture, manufacturing, or jobs. Currently, majority of the country's population, well, 60% of the population is under 5, and youth unemployment is hovering around 40%. And so this has also resulted in food insecurity and disenchantment amongst the youth in the political system, because a lot of civilians in Congo Brazzaville see no viable economic pathway for their futures.
I'm wondering. I mean, I'm drawing parallels here now with countries like Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, maybe. But when I think of Gabon, I get a sense that sometimes they're not reading the temperature or the mood or the room essentially about what young people can do when they are sufficiently dissatisfied and mobilized through social media. Is there a possibility that Congo Brazzaville could see the kind of uprisings that we saw in Kenya, Mozambique, Eswatini, Nigeria? I know that a lot of these countries will say it'll never happen to us, but Bongo didn't think he would not be president, and it all happened very quickly.
Yes, Peter. So you're right. We are seeing similarities. So as you mentioned, as we've seen in Kenya and Gabon as well, when youth disenchantment continues to increase, unemployment increases, and we see little to no economic opportunities for access to job markets, for example, youth do tend to get easily mobilized and radicalized. And we're seeing a lot, for example, in the DRC as well. We see a lot of youth members who are living below the poverty line, and people as young as 7 years old being co-opted into armed group activities. And in Central Africa, that is a real threat as well. So it is not inevitable in the case of Congo Brazzaville. We may see with the upcoming election, as I mentioned earlier, the succession politics question is looming, and we may see a lot of youth becoming co-opted into opposition members and into retaliation mode as well. So it is a quite high possibility. However, as we look at Congo stepping into um, its looks into celebrating Independence Day, it does also signal a bit of hope for the Congolese citizens and what the government can get right. So the while its fate hasn't been decided yet, I think the government does have a good opportunity to create job opportunities through economic diversification as well. And these are some of the things that can be avoided for the youth to retaliate in the manner we have seen in other countries such as Kenya.
Nirvaly, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for your insights on Congo Brazzaville as it celebrates 66th Independence Day. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Peter.
So that was Nirvaly Mooloo, who's a research officer for Central Africa and the Lake Chad Basin at the Institute for Security Studies, talking to us ahead of Congo-Brazzaville's 66th Independence Day on Saturday. And like a lot of countries on the continent, it's complicated.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa